What is your name, please?
My name is Antony Matarrese. My name is Antony Matarrese. My name is Antony Matarrese.
Only one of these men is the real Antony Matarrese. The other two are imposters and will try to fool this panel. Tom Poston, Betty White, Johnny Carson, and Kitty Carlisle. On To Tell the Truth with your host, Bud Collier.
Thank you very much. Thank you, and welcome once again to Tell the Truth, brought to you this week by Salem Cigarettes. Good evening, panel.
Good evening, Bud.
Will you kindly open your envelopes for the first time and remove your affidavit cards and follow along as I read from this one. I, Sergeant Antony Matarrese, am a musician and the leader of the White House Dance Band. My group is assigned to play for dancing at White House balls and parties. Recently, I took a trio aboard the presidential yacht when Mr. Kennedy entertained the President of Pakistan. As chief of the White House Dance Band, I have been referred to as the President's personal pianist. Signed, Sergeant Antony Matarrese. So, panel, we start this evening's festivities off with three stalwart gentlemen, each one claiming to be Antony Matarrese, head or leader of the White House Dance Band. And we will begin this first round of questioning with Kitty Carlisle. Kitty?
Thank you, Bud. Number one, Sergeant Matarrese, what did Mrs. Kennedy wear at the party for the President of Pakistan?
She wore a sheath gown.
Can you describe anything more about it?
No, I can't.
And number two, what was the name of the President of Pakistan?
Mohammed Ayub Khan.
Number three, where was the party given?
It was given at Mount Vernon.
And number one, do you read music?
Yes, I do.
How many sharps in the key of C sharp?
C sharp, 7 sharps.
Number two, do you read music?
Yes, I do.
In the key of B flat?
2 flats.
Number three, how long did it take you to get up the Potomac to Mount Vernon?
I don't remember. The total trip was about 8 hours back and forth, though.
Thank you.
Tom?
Oh, thank you, Bud. Number three, do you happen to know the name that Marines had traditionally in World War I?
Watch it.
I'm not that old. It's Leathernecks, though, anytime.
Thank you. Number two was, that's right, but is there a special name that Marines held, a nickname given to Marines in World War I?
I'm sure there is, but I don't know what it is.
Do you happen to know number one, just for fun?
I'm not sure. It might be gyrenes.
Number one, what is ragtime?
That's a ricky-ticky tubie.
Number two, what is significant about ragtime? Why is it different from other kinds of musical styles?
Well, ragtime has a sort of jazzy, raspy kind of sound. The clothes worn during the ragtime era were very peculiar.
Thank you.
Betty?
Thank you, Bud. Number three, how many notes in a chromatic scale?
A good many.
Could you give me sort of an exact number?
8.
Number one, how many notes in a chromatic scale?
I don't know.
Number two, what is a chromatic scale?
I don't know.
Number one, how do you spell Matarrese?
Matarrese.
Number three, how do you spell Matarrese?
Matarrese.
Well, if you want to be a copycat, you go ahead and spell it. Number two, are you often called upon to play the song Jacqueline?
I'm sorry?
Are you often called upon to play the song Jacqueline?
No, not particularly.
Well...
I hope not. It's the worst thing I've ever heard in my life.
Johnny Carson.
You ever hear it? Seriously.
Johnny?
No.
Number two, did anybody ever tell you look like Mort Saul?
Do I leave now?
Well, it has nothing to do with the questioning, but I'll try anything. Number one, what uniform do you wear now when you play for the president?
For the president?
Do you wear a full dress, or the uniform you have on, or?
Special full dress.
Full dress. Number three, what's the favorite number of the president?
He likes a September song.
September song. Well, that's better than Missouri Waltz. 8 years old. What's number two? What's the favorite number of Mrs. Kennedy?
Well, it was Mr. Wonderful, but right now I believe it's never on Sunday.
That's it. That's it. Man, what a place to stop. Well, we'll open the polls even on Sunday, and we'll have our balloting now, if you will, please, panel. Without consultation, will you vote now for number 1, number 2, or number 3? The team of challengers will, of course, as is our custom, receive $250 for every incorrect vote. Okay, are you all set there, Mr. Tiefelhunt?
Yes, sir.
That's what the Marines were called during the First World War.
What were they called, Dad?
Dogs. Devil dogs. That's
Devil
something
dogs.
I remember and you don't.
Sure I do.
Okay, we all balloted? And Tom, for whom did you vote?
I voted for number 3 because I didn't get a chance to ask him what ragtime was, and I didn't like the other 2 answers. I thought it was number 3.
Betty, your ballot.
I voted for number 1 out of sheer instinct. Don't ask me what that means, because I don't know. But number 3 didn't know how many notes in a chromatic scale, and number 2 gave a wrong answer on something else, so I'm going to go with number 1.
Okay.
For number 1.
Johnny, your ballot.
I voted for Never on Sunday. Popular songs of our times. Number 2.
I blame you. Kitty.
I voted for number 1. Number 3 said that there were 8 notes in a chromatic scale, which is not true, but we didn't ask him if he could read music, you see. The other 2 gave correct answers on the musical sharps and flats, and number 1 said gyrenes. I didn't know what they were either, so I voted for number 1.
That's right, but they're always called that.
Oh.
Well, there's some pretty heavy reasoning goes into our balloting, you have to admit, I think. And if yours is as heavy, let's see if your results are as bright as we discover now which one of these gentlemen is the real leader of the White House Dance Band. So may I ask now, the real Antony Matarrese, to please stand up. The ladies going this time. Thank you, sir, very much. It's a great pleasure to have you with us and to see our 2 beautiful ladies were the ones who guessed you. I don't know who smiled which way, but it was a good signal. Sergeant Matarrese, incidentally, I think you'll agree, is a fine representative of the great United States Marine Band, and they are about to go on tour. Now, when they visit your area, which I'm sure they will, it'll be well worth your while to go and hear them, because this is a fine musical aggregation. Chromatic or non-chromatic, they're still a fine organization. Number 2, would you tell us your real name and what you really do, please?
My name is John. My name is John Louise. I'm art director of Vogue Pattern Services.
Thank you very much. And we proceed chromatically to number 3. What is your real name and what do you do, sir?
My name is Morton M. Cantor, and I'm the rabbi of the Sinai Reformed Temple in Bayshore, New York.
I think it's only fair that we wish you a Happy New Year then, sir.
Thank you.
A very Happy New Year. Now, let's check on our score. We find there were 1, 2 correct. That means 1, 2 incorrect for a total of $250 each, $500 from Salem Cigarettes. Not bad. I think you'll agree, gentlemen, especially with the fun that you brought us. You also receive a carton of Salem Cigarettes on your way out. Thank you very much for contributing so warmly to our evening. Good night and good luck to you. Panel, may I present to you our second team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is June Poplar. My name is June Poplar. My name is June Poplar.
Again, panel, will you follow along with your copies of this affidavit? I, June Poplar, am an insurance underwriter. I specialize in writing insurance policies covering chickens and turkeys against loss or damage from wind, rain, hail, and fire. As a hobby, I skin dive. Last month, I competed in the first triathlon sponsored by the Underwater Society of America. This is a test of brains, brawn, and dexterity, and involves competition in spearfishing, underwater navigation, and the use of tools and equipment while submerged. I won the individual title and am now the National Women's Champion Scuba Diver. Signed, June Poplar. Very well, panel. These ladies all claim to be June Poplar, champion skin diver, and we'll start this cross-examination with Johnny Carson. Johnny.
Miss Poplar, number 2, you insure chickens and turkeys against fire?
Yes, sir.
Does that apply at Thanksgiving?
applies anytime.
Oh, I see. What is, number 3, what is scuba? What do the initials stand for?
Self-contained underwater breathing apparatus.
Number 1, what does Northrop mean to you?
Northrop?
Northrop.
I'm afraid it
Number
means
2,
nothing.
the name Northrop.
It's the name of a ship.
Number 3, what does Northrop mean to you?
I don't know.
Number 3, who is Jacques Cousteau?
He's the inventor of the aqualung.
Number 2, who is Jacques Cousteau?
The inventor of the aqualung.
Number 1, what is your rate of ascent in feet? Say if you were down 100 feet. What is your rate of ascent that you can safely ascend?
Well, it all depends on how fast you want to go down. I go very slowly because it's much safer.
I'm talking about coming up.
Coming up.
Oh, coming up.
Coming
I'm
up.
sorry.
That's all right.
Kitty.
Number 1, do you insure chickens against the pip?
Yes, we do.
Do they have it often, your chickens?
No.
Number 2, what is the rapture of the deep as long as Polly's not here? I think I feel free to ask this question.
It's a sort of a state caused by nitrogen in your blood. It's from rising too fast.
I see. Number 3, I wish my daughter Kathy were able to ask these questions. She knows more about scuba diving than I do. What do you carry on your back when you're a scuba diver?
A tank.
What is it filled with?
Compressed air.
Do you wear your glasses?
Well, not these, but I do have some glasses that I wear.
Tom.
Thank you. Number 1, what position does Bill Loper hold in your society?
In the underwater?
Yes, Doc.
I'm afraid I wouldn't know.
Number 3, what position does Bill Loper hold in your society?
I don't know the man.
Number 3, what are the most common safety devices in scuba equipment for reserve air?
Safety devices for reserve air.
Yes.
Well, we have a reserve valve on our tanks.
How can you tell when your reserve has been tapped?
Well, when you when it's pulled down.
How can you tell when you're on reserve?
Johnny says you can tell when you turn blue. Betty.
Thank you, Bud. Number 2, what do you wear when you dive? Aside from the equipment, I mean, what do you actually wear in the way of swim clothes?
A suit made out of rubber.
Number 3, do you agree with that? Do you wear that at all times?
Most of the time, yes.
Number 1, what is the spear called that a skin diver uses for spear fishing?
A spear.
Number 2, what is it called?
Spear gun.
There's another name for it, I believe. Is there not, number 3?
Well, you might be referring to a hand spear.
Well, I got a lot of nowhere with that. Number 2, do you insure chickens and turkeys against diseases at all?
No.
None whatsoever.
Right, that's it. Once again, we come to that moment of balloting, which is always the greatest moment of fun for you all, I'm sure. You may not have had enough time to question, but there it is. The die is cast. So mark your ballots, if you will, please, without consultation, and vote as usual for number 1, number 2, or number 3. Everybody set? Okay. For whom this time, Tom?
I voted for number 1. How do you like that, everybody?
I like it.
I voted for number 1 because I didn't like number 2's answers.
Betty, which one do you think is the real one this time?
Nobody likes a sore head. I voted for number 2. I didn't vote for number 1 on the strength of the fact that I don't believe you insure chickens and turkeys against disease, and pip, I think, is a disease, or a symptom, anyway. And it was touch and go between 2 and 3. The glasses answer almost switched me to number 3.
Johnny.
Pip actually isn't a disease.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
It's a thief, Walter Pip, who's been a big chicken thief. I voted for number 3 because she came up very fast with the answers. I believe that's her.
Okay, and Kitty?
Well, I voted for number 3. I disagree with Tom. I thought number 2 gave very good answers and about the rapture of the deep.
Leave me alone.
But number 1 said she insured chickens for the pip, and it says here they only insured them for wind, rain, hail, and fire. And so I voted for number 3.
All right, there we have it once more. Our own particular moment of truth when we learn who's right, who's wrong. And if you're playing along at home with us, let's see whether you're right or wrong. As we learn which one of these ladies is the real insurer of chickens and poultry against everything but the pip and champion skin diver among the ladies. Will the real June Poplar please stand up? much. Real treat to have you with us, Kitty. That's 2 in a row you've got. This time your partner, however, was Johnny.
Yes.
You made off well with Betty the first time. Johnny this time. Let's see whether you pair off with Tom this
I
time.
just started skin diving last year.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
That's what gave it to you.
It's wonderful.
It's a lot of fun. Let's find out about the other 2 ladies. Number 2, would you tell us your real name and what you... We better go by the other way. Number 1, your real name and what you really do.
My name is Pat Draper, and I'm employment supervisor for Remington Rand.
Thank you. And now, number 2, your real name and what you really do, please.
My name is Naomi Poole, and I'm a lieutenant junior grade in the U.S. Navy stationed in Washington, D.C.
Yes, ma'am. Mighty proud to have all of you here, and you contributed a lot to our evening. Hope we did to yours. Hope you had fun. You didn't look too nervous. You looked rather smiley. And when you hear now, of course, that there were 2 incorrect votes at $250 each for a total, again, of $500, it's not too bad, as well as a carton of Salem cigarettes for each of you. Good night to you, and good luck. Now, here is our 3rd team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is Maharaj Praemsing.
My name is Maharaj Praemsing.
My name is Maharaj Praemsing.
Again, panel, will you kindly follow along as I read from this affidavit? I, Maharaj Praemsing, live in the city of Jodhpur in India. By vocation, I am a farmer, but by avocation, I am a polo player. I am captain of the Calcutta Polo Club, and I have also played in England with Prince Philip's polo team in the Queen's Cup matches. I am here in the United States to compete in the U.S. National Open Polo Tournament. Signed, Maharaj Praemsing. This time we have 3 gentlemen, each claiming, as you heard, to be Maharaj Praemsing, polo player. And we'll begin this round of questioning with Tom Poston. Tom?
Thank you, Bud. Number 2, it just occurred to me, do they play polo in Manhattan? Does one play polo in Manhattan?
I'm not quite sure.
Thank you. Number 3, would you happen to know?
I think they play in Westchester. Whether that's part of Manhattan, I don't know.
No, do you know, number 1, do they play polo in Manhattan that you know of?
I don't think so.
Number 1, what does a farmer do with his property when the monsoon rains start to fall?
Are you asking me about the Indian farmer?
Oh, yes. We don't have too many monsoons.
Well, actually, what we have in the rainy days, but we save otherwise, we use them later on, and we have the same thing. We don't change our profession. It remains the same.
I'm not sure I followed all that, but it doesn't matter. Thank you.
Continues to farm, I think is what he was trying to say. Betty?
Thank you, Bud. Number 2, how does the polo mallet strike the ball?
Sideways.
Number 3, how many horses do you have to have for the average polo match, for fresh horses throughout a match?
Well, for a 6-chucker match, you need at least 4, but a good player has more. I happen to have 9.
Ooh, lovely. Number 1, how long is a chucker?
Chucker is 7.5 minutes.
And every game, number 1, is 6-chucker?
Yes.
Every game, do you agree with that, number 3?
Well, it depends. For a tournament, it's 6 chuckers. But for a club match, it varies from country to country. Mostly it's 4. In other countries, it's 5.
And...
Johnny?
I know nothing about polo at all. Number 3, is it true that Governor Rockefeller is going to try Little League polo in New York?
I haven't consulted him on that.
I have no idea at all either. Number 1, you play with Prince Philip?
Yes, I did.
What is his, they call it a rating? What is his goal in the rating of a polo player?
He's having a handicap 4.
He has a 4-goal handicap. Number 2, what is the top rating of a polo player?
10.
Number 3, what is the top rating in polo?
It's 10. There are very few who have got 10.
How many polo players have 10?
I think it's about 1 or 2. One is an American one, Cecil Smith. He's got a handicap of 10.
Ah, good old Cecil.
Kitty?
Well, I adore watching polo, and I must tell you they do play polo in New York City, sometimes at the armories. Number 1, what does Shriyut mean?
Beg pardon?
Shriyut. Do you know number 2?
No.
Do you know number 3?
What is it, a name or the
Shriyut. What does S-R-I mean in...
S-R-I,
yes.
Shri.
Yes, what is that?
Oh, that's the Indian name for Sir.
What?
For a mister.
I see. Number 2, do you know the name of Tommy Hitchcock?
Yes.
Well, is he an American or an Englishman?
No, he was American.
He's an American.
He makes bells.
Number 1, how many gold man are you?
Me?
What is your handicap?
What is your
4. And number 2?
4.
4. And number 3?
4.
Is this your first visit to America, number 3?
No.
And let's hope it's not its last, but it is your last question, and it is now necessary for you to mark your ballot. So will you kindly do so, panel? Without any further consultation, vote right now for number 1, number 2, or number 3. Okay, are all ballots marked? And we'll call first upon our own 8-gold player, Tom Poston.
8-gold drinker. I voted for number 2 this time because he has a nice face. And I didn't want to accuse him of lying. Why should I? The other 2 I'm perfectly willing to accuse of being liars, but he has a sweet face.
Betty, your vote, please.
I'm back to the hunch department again. I voted for number 2 because number 3 was so glib that I know we're being taken in by him, but I almost was. Number 1 said every game was a 6-chucker game, and I don't believe that's correct.
Johnny Carson, which one is your
Number
vote?
3 was very glib, but I voted for him anyway because he looks like the fellow who wrote that book, How to Cheat at Polo.
That's the extent of your knowledge from that book. Kitty.
I voted for number 2. I think he looks like a horseman, although the other 2 could very easily be charming horsemen, not polo players.
Very well, once again, we're about to find out whether we're right or wrong in our votes as we discover which one of these gentlemen, any one of whom could be, really is the champion polo player. So will the real Maharaj Praemsing please stand up? Was a little smart for that time. Let's see, everybody but Johnny this time, and that's because you read you read the wrong book, Johnny. That's all. Read the wrong book. I'm sorry about that. Incidentally, for those of you who are, what do you call them, polo files or polo fans interested in the international polo matches, you can see the match in which Praemsing will be playing, televised by CBS on the Summer Sports Spectacular on Thursday, September 28th. And good luck to you, sir. Pleasure to have you on the show. Let's find out about the others now. Number 1, your real name and what you really do, please.
My name is Kuldeep Raj Seth. I'm in the moment in New York, and I'm specializing in radio and television broadcasting.
Thank you very much. And number 3, may I have
My
your
real name, you wouldn't believe it, is Abdul Sheikh, a Dartmouth boy and a Harvard man, presently visiting from Nairobi, Kenya as a personal representative of Tom and Boyer to raise funds for the African students' airlift.
Oh, very good.
Thank you. Well, I'm sorry on that basis, then, that the panel was so smart, because there might have been more for you gentlemen to divide amongst you. But in any event, when we check our score, we find there was just 1 incorrect vote. I forget who it was who did it. Anyway, 1 incorrect vote at $250 from Salem Cigarettes, as well as, of course, the Carton of Salem. Good luck to you, gentlemen, and thank you very much for being with us. Good night. Well, there we have the end of another pleasant evening, panel. I always hate to come to this point. I would like to remind all of you that the united way of giving is the best and easiest way, easiest on you, and most facilitating of all giving all around. You give once, you give to all services, and you help the most people in that way. So when they ring your doorbell or contact you through the mail, be sure you give the united way. Okay, panel, it was a fun evening for me. I hope it was for you. Good night to you.
Good night, Bud.
Bud Collier's saying good night for Salem Cigarettes and reminding you to tell the truth. Good night, everybody.
To Tell the Truth is a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production. Polo outfit courtesy of Miller's Riding Shop.